Hi guys, I'm the spoken label, a fantastic and very unpredictable Katy Naylor. So I'm looking forward to what Katy does now in part 2 of this podcast, which is going to do 4 pieces for us. Over to you, Katy.
Thank you very much, Andy. So I'm going to start by reading a couple of poems from Postcards from Ragnarok. And then I think I'll do a piece from Stovetop Ghosts and a short fiction piece to finish off if we have time. So the first piece from Postcards from Ragnarok is called Balder. And you'll get the sense of what I'm trying to do as we hit the end. Balder was the most beloved of the gods. One night he saw his own death in a dream. Freya, his mother, begged each creature, plant and rock, to swear an oath to protect him. All agreed happily not to harm this child of light, save one. The soft-leafed mistletoe did not swear. So young he had escaped Freya's notice. Balder was immune to all injury. The gods laughed, aimed missiles for sport. None hit their mark. Loki, jealous or just lusting for mischief, discovered the weakness. Mistletoe fashioned a dart, tricked blind Hother into aiming. It struck deadly through Balder's heart. There was one final chance. If all would weep for Balder, he could return from the land of the dead. Every man, each beast and plant, rock and metal, ran with sorrow. But Loki refused to give his tears. Balder's fate was sealed, and so began the end of the world. We, too, know the power of mistletoe. The dart shot blind, the soft leaf deceiving. The wound opens, our words turn to ash, and still we will not weep. The second poem.
Brilliant, brilliant. No, great, great. I got to see what you mean, but I got that straight away then. So brilliant stuff. Okay, I'm going to shut up. Straight back to you for piece number 2.
All good, all good. So the second piece I'm going to read is called Kraken. Danger is curled in small beginnings. The lock of hair that sparked the feud, the first soft sprig of mistletoe, the first disturbance in the water, before the splintering prow and the torn sail, the spear and shield dashed into the waves. It's hard to unravel the thread, trace ourselves back to the first paper cut, the first white lie, the first joke that turned sour. By the time we noticed the ripples, we were already in its grip, and a great eye had blotted out the sun.
Oh, that I wasn't expecting that to go the way it did then. 'Cause out of all those mythical creatures, I always loved the Kraken. It was just there's something about it always like and a real menace to me and that real passion. So, what made you want to write that piece in that direction then?
Actually, that one almost went backwards. So I was talking to a friend about, when you're joking around with a friend or a partner, and if you're not careful, that habit of joking about can turn a little bit sour. And it's just that first little intimation, then it all goes wrong. And I just love the idea of it being, this great sea beast under the deep. And by the time you see the first little bubbles, it's too late. And
Yeah, yeah.
and I was looking for another creature to add. Yeah, the Kraken just tied in with that concept really nicely.
Yeah, oh, it definitely does that. Yeah, it's a really good choice that was, and I mean, the way you use it was really, really clever as well. So I wasn't expecting to use it like that. So brilliant stuff. Okay, on to piece number 3.
Okay, piece number 3 is from Stovetop Ghosts, which is coming out soon. And it's from the part of the day from Nones, which is early afternoon. The time you take to walk down to the far end of the allotments where the blackberries grow, studying every stick and leaf, singing a song about knees. The time you take to blow the dandelion clock, fuzzed halos, growing thinner with each puff. I wish I could hold this bright drop of now, that the afternoon didn't lie curled in the morning sun. The bright green, clean spring leaves didn't whisper autumn. I think about those seeds, drifting on the wind to who knows where. Green shoots and yellow flowers I'll never see. Stems for little hands to hold and begin again.
Ooh, ooh, oh, and the ending there, that ending, you've got that. That's a really, really clever way to finish that piece off, that Katie. You're very, very good. I think I love the piece of that way because I've not heard that one before, where it wraps it up really, really quickly, but in a very clever way. No, great stuff. Was that
Thank
quite
you.
an easy piece to write, that one, or did that one take a bit of fiddly?
So that one actually started. I used to do it religiously, but now less so. There's a single word prompt game that I often do on Twitter,
Oh
and
yeah,
it started from that one. But yeah, no, that one took ages. It folded in poems from a good couple of years ago, and yeah, took a lot of doing.
yeah. I think some pieces are like that sometimes. When you get
Mm,
reasonably short pieces, they can be incredibly fiddly to do, and that felt
yeah.
like to me there. If it had been me, I reckon that would took me about 2 months to get the ending right because
Mm.
it felt like that to me there. Like you take your 15, 16 drafts, and you sat there thinking, why
Yeah.
aren't you finishing right?
It's so true. Well, I mean, the way I write is very scattergun. I actually write on my phone. So I tend
Oh,
to dip in and out when I have time or when I have energy, when my brain's focused. So in a way, it's quite frustrating. But in another way, I don't notice how many drafts I'm doing. So it's quite
yeah.
liberating.
You'll get on with Amanda for that, my wife, because Amanda writes on the phone a lot of the time.
Oh,
Oh
really?
yeah, she does. Whenever we go out together anywhere, like we're our night, she will be going down to see my mum and dad first, and she'll be sat on the bus tapping away on the phone and like a word pad. And
Oh, good for
I
her.
can't operate that sort of small space, but I've
Mm,
got like a big tablet, and I will often do it on instead. So that'd be in my
mm,
bag. But like I said,
I
but it's too
like it.
small. It's too small for me. So anyway, I know you're doing a bit of flash fiction for us now, just so to finish off it in a different direction.
Mm. So I thought I would actually read the piece that you heard me do at the open mic. It's called Big Smoke, and it was first published in Ellipsis Zine back in 2021. And I think, sorry, I just need to make sure I've got it here. I will just pull it up. There we go. Okay, I will begin. Big Smoke. The devil went down to London to bargain for a human heart. Now, the devil may be made up of smoke, deep-pressed malice and spite and greed, and his own heart may be quite different to our own, but he still needs the uncorrupted beat of the human organ to feed the hungers of hell. The hearts of children, of course, are useless. They still beat outside their bodies, in the milky warmth of their parents' approval and the bright traces of play. The devil requires a heart that has fully taken root. The devil still uses the crossroads as the venue for his bargains. And what greater crossroads could there be than London, where so many paths meet and divide on their way to a better future? So the devil polished his horns, smoothed down his best waistcoat, and set off toward the city with a whistle. By the first night, things were looking bleak for the devil. He'd searched among the skyscrapers of Bank and Canary Wharf, but he met with no success. The hearts of the stockbrokers and the lawyers already beat outside their bodies, in the promise of next year's bonus and a 5-bed house on Hampstead Heath. He'd searched among the stalls of Camden Market and the cafes of Soho, but he'd had no luck there either. The hearts of the artists beat outside their bodies too, in the dream of their own names backlit over a stage door or displayed in the bookshop window. Things didn't improve as he cast his net wider. So many hearts beating elsewhere, in the space between message and reply, or in the envelopes stuffed with worn £10 notes put towards next month's rent. The devil was perturbed. His fine moustache began to droop, and his usually jaunty tail grew quite limp. He didn't know how he would be able to hold his head up on his return if he did not bring hell back up to quota. He'd be the laughing stock of the other demons. It was not beyond the realms of possibility that Beelzebub may start eyeing his position. But then, quite unexpectedly, the devil got a break. The place in Shoreditch billed itself as a bar, but it looked more like a living room from somewhere in the 70s. There was soft jazz playing over carefully hidden speakers and hardly any customers. She served elaborately prepared cocktails and told a story about each one. Her stories were delivered with complete sincerity and focus. Each was a tiny gift for you and you alone. The devil saw her heart, pulsing red inside her chest. He felt a subtle shift as the compacted fog within him sensed its beat. On the second night, he talked to her as she closed up. The devil is good at asking the questions that make you itch. What did she want in life? She shrugged. She patched together a living from work in admin and bars and front of house. It would never set the world alight, but it kept the wolf from the door and gave her time to draw. She lived on a creaking houseboat in Ealing. It was snug, and she had to keep an eye on the generator and the damp, but she found the air off the river soothing. The rent was cheap, and the neighbours liked to play the fiddle and melodeon in the evenings. She would often join them and listen, and sometimes she'd sing. Love? Well, she hoped she'd find the right soul one day, but for now she had plenty of friends, and she was happy enough to keep an open mind and see what the future held. How about family? Her face clouded. Her parents had provided for her brother the best they could, really. The home offered lots of classes, painting and music and movement, and sometimes they went on outings. She saw him every week. They were really very lucky. The devil felt an unfamiliar sensation, something loosening in his own body, starting to split and crackle. He felt ever so slightly blurred, as if he were being faintly smudged in thumbprints around the edges. He absent-mindedly stroked his pointed beard. It had to be relief. He'd found his hook. On the third night, the devil was ready to make a deal. He studied his reflection carefully in the mirror on the back of the door of his fourth-rate business hotel room, looking himself right in the goat-slit eye. The devil arrived early and spent some time studying his own crimson cheekbones in the glass doors before they opened. His hooves clicked on the floorboards as he made his way across the room. She looked up at him and smiled, and the devil knew that it was time. He didn't feel a thing as he raised a sharp, shining claw and reached in for the smoke-stained heart that turned slowly in his own chest. It left a trail of deep blue as he leaned across the counter and held it out to her. The devil thought he knew everything there was to know about the torments of hell, but an eternity of racks and beds of nails had nothing on these stretching, tearing seconds as he watched her face for a sign that she would accept his offering.
Brilliant. No, it's great to hear that piece again. Pardon me, my voice is going then. Absolutely wonderful stuff that. It's really interesting that I'm going to ask you, Kate, to conclude with when you're writing like you people have seen tonight some really different examples of your work.
Mm.
When you're channeling yourself into do flash fiction, I'm of the opinion of like it is similar in a way to poetry,
Mm.
but not like a novel, isn't it? Really, where
I agree, yeah.
yes, I think it's on the same boat, but
Mm.
different. If that makes sense.
I definitely find when writing prose that I can tell that I've come at it from a poetry angle. So my prose is very dense, very layered with image. And I'd say the weaker area, if you like, is plot and character and dialogue and all the stuff that makes a story a story. But you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. And I think there's value in it anyway, being its own
Oh yeah.
beast.
No, I agree. It's bizarre because, like, certain like when I had got to write my first novel was in my early 20s, and I'm 50
Mm.
now. But like, it was god awful. It was absolutely awful.
But you know
But
what? You've got to write it. Just
yeah,
that's great.
you've got to
Yeah.
write. But then, like, obviously now, like, when I got into writing poetry in my mid 20s, really, I've got
Mm.
25 years experience doing that, and now I'm moving on to other topics like that. And I found because I've had the background in poetry,
Yeah.
it's sharpened a lot of my senses the way I
Mm.
write things. Have you found that yourself over time?
Yeah, definitely. So I find that it makes me think about every word. and I like to be quite economical in my sentences. I don't like to have anything extraneous, which is why I think I probably have done a lot more flash than I have done longer short stories or even novella or novel length.
Yeah, well, again, we might get there in the future with that one, definitely, won't we? So who knows,
Yeah,
as I would say.
who
So
knows? Indeed.
when you've been creative like you are, Kate, like me, every day next day you might have a completely different idea, and who knows where it'll lead. Now,
Keeps it fun, doesn't it?
oh, it definitely stops getting boring. Now, I want to thank you again today, Katie, for us as we wrap up now. It's been great fun today. So I've really, really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Andy. It's been absolutely brilliant to come on here.
Yeah.
And I could talk about this stuff all night. So thank you
I,
for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, and that's before even I got going. Yeah, this could have been a 3 hour podcast if people are wondering. Seriously. So, but thank you again, Katie. I will stay online. I need to speak to you online about a few bits and pieces before we wrap up today anyway. But anyway, to conclude, as Don Callis over at AEW Wrestling says, and this is my favourite saying of his, stay safe and most importantly, stay over. And we'll see you all next time.